Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about books that I will be donating, whether I've read them, didn't like them, or just won't be reading them again. These are part of my personal collection. I usually try not to purchase books that I haven't already read and enjoyed. Most of these have been given as gifts or things like that. All right, so let's start with the series. So I will just give a brief synopsis of what the series is about. We will start with Switched, Ascend, and Torn, all by Amanda Hawking. So Switched, Ascend, and Torn. I want to say Ascend is the first one. I'm not really sure. I actually did read all three of these. It was a long time ago. I think it's about a world of gargoyles or something fae. I'm not really sure, but the girl, Wendy, finds out that she's a changeling and she finds her real family and she has to go through a bunch of bureaucratical stuff. It wasn't really that good. If I had to rate this, I probably would give this 2 stars. It's just not really good. It's bland. The love interests are bland. The characters are bland. It's just not good. So, next is the Blue Bloods novels, and it's the Van Allen Legacy. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I think it's subsections of the same series, but these are about rich vampires. I want to say that I read the majority of these novels, or at least the ones that were out at the time. This is the first one right here. It was not good either. It was just bad writing, unrealistic characters. As unrealistic as vampires can get. It felt like Gossip Girl with vampires. So, not good. The Vampire Academy. So these I actually thoroughly enjoyed. I have all of the books, and I have read all of the books, and I really enjoyed this series. I just don't see myself rereading them, so I would rather pass them to someone that might enjoy them, like I did. It is about a girl who is the protector of a royal vampire, and she has to learn how to be a bodyguard and all of that stuff, and loved it. Was great. Had an age gap romance. It was just loved it. I was only able to find my first book, but I know I have the full series. Abandoned, I'm not sure what the series is called. A modern day Persephone that gets taken to hell by Hades, and she has to grapple with the idea that he might come back at any time and take her back to hell. Does she love him? Does she not? Does she want to stay on Earth? What does she want to do? I don't know. It wasn't necessarily bad. If I had to rate this, I'd probably give it 3 stars out of 5. I didn't like the relationship. I felt like the relationship, it was the love was like a Stockholm Syndrome love. She was kidnapped by this random stranger and then she loves him. And as far as I can remember, he didn't really have any redeeming qualities or things that would make her love him. So I didn't like it. So that's about it. Another series that I'm getting rid of is The Maze Runner. Loved the first one. Rest of them sucked. Would give the first book 3 out of 5 stars, would give the rest 2 out of 5 stars. I felt like the rest were really rushed. Didn't enjoy them, so I will be giving them away. The Percy Jackson series. I read it when I was young. I think I read this when I was in middle school. I think that's when I started this series, and I really enjoyed it. It was good. It didn't really have a lot of plot that made you think. They were enjoyable. If you haven't read them before, I would say they're good little fillers if you're in a slump and you want to read something. So they're good. If you want something easy and fun and all of that, and you don't have to look too deep into, then I really recommend these. But I won't be rereading them, so they will be going to someone else. And then the last series that I have is a very old series, a series that I read a very long time ago. Right around the same time that I read Percy Jackson, I read these. And that was The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd. It was about a kid that was a vampire, and he was in school, and it starts when he's in 7th grade and goes from 7th to 12th. I'm sorry, 8th grade to 12th. And it was not good. It was okay. It was good in middle school. He has a love interest, and he has, that kind of drama, and it just wasn't that good. I would not recommend it to anybody that was not above the age of 12, 13. So if you are looking for a series that maybe you can recommend to your kids, or something you can read with your kids or have your kids read, this is definitely an enjoyable series for kids, but anybody above the age of 13 or 14, I would not recommend read this. Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I read it, but I don't remember it. I'm not a huge Jane Austen fan. Her writing is just, I don't know, I'm just not a huge fan. But it follows two families. One is more of the establishment family, one is more of the urban family, and it follows their lives, and I didn't enjoy it. I think I got it for like maybe $1 at the thrift store. I didn't like it. Yeah, just didn't enjoy it. If you like Jane Austen, this is a very Jane Austen-y novel. So if you like Jane Austen, then you probably would enjoy this, but I didn't. So next is The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. It's about the meatpacking industry, and it was originally written in 1906. It's very disgusting, very gruesome. Like, if you're really into those documentaries about how meat is made and all of that stuff, it's just disgusting. I would recommend it to anybody that has an interest in learning about the dichotomy of America in that time between the American dream, and you have all of these immigrants coming over and expecting America to be the place of dreams and where they can make a better life, and the actual truth of that time of the poor and working class and what they actually endured. It was a good book. If you enjoy reading about the human spirit and things like that, then I really recommend reading this, but it's gross, so I won't be reading it again. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. Wouldn't be reading it again. So if you want to talk about the human spirit and all of that, we'll talk about my next book, which is Schindler's List. This is a heartbreaking, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary what people will do to each other when they feel like they are allowed to take other people's lives into their own hands. But it's also extraordinary to see what the average human can do and the growth that you can see inside of people. He runs a prison. He runs a prison camp, World War II, and it's his growth over time, eventually leading to him saving Jews from encampment. It's actual testimony from the people that experienced this. It's incredibly good. I'm like tearing up thinking about reading it. It's incredibly good. It was made into a movie, and the movie is incredibly good, and I would just recommend it. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. It's very freaking good, but I won't be reading it again, so that's why it'll be donated. Next is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. This is a book about a mother whose son murders 7 people during a school shooting that he conducts, and it chronicles her shock of her own son committing such a crime, not feeling like she didn't know who he was, and just her grief of losing her child, her grief of losing her marriage, her experience of a town full of people that now hate her because they feel like she is responsible. I mean, they throw eggs at her house, they paint stuff on her house, like they just make her life hell because her son did this thing, and they feel like she should have known, or she should have done something to stop it. It's incredibly gripping, very upsetting, and it's a very good fictionalization of what someone going through this would be feeling, and it's incredibly good, and I would recommend it 4 out of 5 stars. And I would really recommend this book. I probably won't read it again, so yeah. Next up is a book written by a writer who is a brilliant mind, but his execution sucks, and that is Stephen King, and this particular book is Dreamcatcher. If I had to be entirely honest with you, I don't remember like 60% of this book. The premise is that these kids save a child with Down syndrome from being bullied, they become friends, they meet up in a cabin, and some shenanigans ensues. They get attacked and stuff happens, but it's not good. It's a lot of baloney and malarkey and shenanigans, and not the good kind of shenanigans, and just not good. So if you want to read some Stephen King, I would not recommend this book. So I would rate this 2 out of 5 because it's not good. All right, next up is Red Riding Hood by Catherine Hardwicke. This book is about a girl whose town gets attacked every full moon by a wolf. They don't know who it is. All they know is they have to batten down the hatches and hope that their family gets spared. The girl that this book follows doesn't really care about the being safe. She's in love with this guy and she wants to be with him, and he leaves town and he comes back, and so her like whole thing is like consumed with him and all that. It was pretty okay. I read it twice, and both times it was just kind of mediocre. So it wasn't like one of those books that I felt like should have never been printed. It was okay. It's a good little quick read. It's only about 300 pages, and it's fast. So if you want a quick read, this is pretty good, but I probably won't read this again. So the next couple of books I'm going to go over. I'm not going to do synopsises on because they are pretty well-known books. I will just give my rating. So next is Dear John by Nicholas Sparks, 2 out of 5 stars. Didn't really like it. It was pretty boring. Didn't like it. Crime and Punishment. I bought it with no cover at a thrift store, and I love this book. I read it in high school, loved it, shockingly. The reason I'm getting rid of this is because I have 2 copies already and I don't need this one. So yeah, I would give this 3 out of 5 stars. It's a tough read. It's very dense. It's really, really good. If you can stand kind of like the Russian literature, if that's your thing, then I really recommend this if you haven't already read it. It's kind of a funny story. I would give this 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy this. Let me not lie. I enjoyed this book, but when I finished it and went back on about it, I did not enjoy it. It just very much glosses over a lot of mental illness. It's just supposed to be quirky, and it's just not. I didn't really like it, and I honestly don't remember a whole lot. So Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Did not like it. 2 out of 5 stars. Very boring. She was very bland. He was very bland. There was nothing about this relationship that I really enjoyed and wanted them to be together. Some people said they cried. Don't see it. Didn't read the rest of the book, so 2 out of 5 stars bad. Next is The Girl on the Train. This was made into a movie. It was pretty good. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. The twist at the end was good. I remember it was good when I read it. Don't really remember what it was. It was a good little thriller. Yeah. Next is Carrie by Stephen King. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. This is probably one of my favorite books by Stephen King. I would give this 3 out of 5 stars. It's short, and it's pretty spooky atmospherically. I just probably wouldn't read it again. So the next 2 that I will be giving away are Killing Lincoln and Team of Rivals. Both are about Abraham Lincoln. Read both of them. I enjoyed them. Probably won't read them again. I would give Team of Rivals a 2 out of 5. It was okay. I would give Killing Lincoln a 3 out of 5. Our Water for Elephants by Sarah Grunn and The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. 2 very different novels. It was okay. Probably 3 out of 5 stars. And then Lovely Bones. I read this book a really long time ago. Honestly, this book really disgusted me, and if looking back, I can't think of a book that I read around that time period or when I was younger that disgusted me as much as this disgusted me. But I finished it, and it was good, but it just, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars because I think is an accurate representation of the thoughts of a woman or a young girl would be like during this time. Trigger warning for sexual abuse and things with children relating to that. So it's very disturbing. All right, the next 2 books I am giving away are An Abundance of Catherines and Paper Towns both by John Green. I don't really remember what either of these are about, if I had to be completely honest. Quirky stuff. which is like all John Green is ever, so I'm giving those away. Is another Nicholas Sparks book called Walk to Remember. It's about a girl that has cancer that falls in love with the bad boy and she tries to make him a better person, blah blah blah. It was yeah. Beastly by Alex Flynn. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I've read it several times, but I'm probably not going to reread this. Not really interested in rereading it again. So Romeo and Juliet, this is the copy that I had when I was in school. Didn't really like it. It was pretty pointless, so I didn't really like it. Next is The Vampire Kisses. This is the first in a series. Didn't read the rest of the series. Thought it was kind of stupid. The girl is very like stereotypically goth, raised in like a preppy town, very kiddish. Yeah. So bye. Chronicles of Narnia. This is a compilation of all of the books. Not really much to say here. It was okay. I stopped after Prince Caspian, so. Next is Flag of Our Fathers. This was a pretty good book. I recommend it if you're not a history buff. It has pictures and stuff of the Marines that were there, so I thought that was pretty cool. Next is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. This was made into a movie. This is part of a series. I finished this. If I had to be completely honest, I really don't remember anything about it, and the rest of the series looks pretty good. I just don't really remember it being all of that good. I mean, yeah, so yeah. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. This is a book set in the 20s about a young African-American girl who is born in Florida, and this is kind of her growing up and figuring out who she is and what she wants to do. It was a good coming of age story. Probably wouldn't read it again, so yeah. And then my last book is Martin Luther King Jr. It's a companion book. It has speeches and essays written by Martin Luther King Jr. It has some prose in there. It has some quotes. That is all of the books that I will be donating. I have several. I have about 2 or 3 10 stacks of graphic novels that I am debating what I want to do because I want to finish out the series, but all 3 of them are pretty long. It's Full Metal Alchemist, One Piece, and Fairy Tale. I'm still deciding what I want to do because I want to finish them. I'm debating if I want to give them away or not. I've read the ones that I have thus far, but I'm just haven't finished them out yet. I'll be donating these books soon. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you got all the way through, I'm sure this was mega boring. Me talking about a bunch of books that I didn't like or didn't want or don't want to read again. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Just make sure you hit that little bell icon. It'll notify you so that you know next time I post a video. My social medias and my Goodreads with all of the books that I recommend that you pick up in the description box below. Like always, you can comment, leave recommendations and things like that, and I will see you guys in my next video. So thank you.